You are this close to getting out of here.
What are you gonna do?
I'm gonna get a job. I'm gonna see my boy.
Of course, this is all dependent on continued good behaviour.
Hey! You can get me into trouble, man.
Good.
I don't want to get involved in all this.
Who you are.
Yeah.
How's it going, guys? Welcome back to my channel and time for another episode of Luke's Reviews. On today's video, we have a brand new, hard-hitting British prison drama coming from the team behind the hit Netflix show Adolescence in Wasteman. Taylor is a young inmate in a highly volatile prison, but after managing to keep his head down and out of trouble, he's on the cusp of being granted early parole and the opportunity to reconnect with his estranged son and start his life anew. But with only a few days left before his release, Taylor gains a new cellmate in the form of D, who comes thundering into this prison, prepared to upset the status quo of the wing and threaten to put Taylor's release in jeopardy. I say the following with as much praise as I possibly can. Wasteman was a deeply unpleasant watch, and I'm honestly not entirely sure if I really fancy ever putting myself through it again. And I just want to reiterate, that's a compliment. Wasteman is an excellent movie and an outstanding debut for director McMau. The anxiety throughout Wasteman barely dropped. If you look at the main character, Taylor, he's no saint. He's a drug addict. He has made countless mistakes in his life, but he is set that once out, he is willing to make the relevant changes to enter society as a new, recovered man. And so you do root for him to make it to these final days, and so that he can be the dad to his estranged son, that he can rejoin society rehabilitated. But it's the actions of the violent and psychotic D that are threatening to extinguish any of that hope for Taylor. McMau's direction is deliberately brutal. Wasteman withholds no punches. This is a raw, unfiltered, and at times very distressing look at life in a quite high security prison in Britain. There are a couple of mentions, be it from either news reports, newspapers, or actually said by prison wardens and staff that work at the prison, that the entire prison system is a joke. It's failed, essentially. We have prisoners running riot. We have understaffing, overpopulation within the prisons itself. We are at a position where, for lack of a better term, the inmates are the ones running the jungle. And interspersed within some of these scenes, we're getting phone video footage of beatings, stabbings, riots, all around carnage. Now, I don't know if this was real footage that has been captured within prisons, or whether it is something that was just doctored for the film. Regardless, you're not really meant to tell the difference. The purpose is to provide a snapshot into what prison life is like, and it is terrifying. This is one of the best anti-prison message films that may have ever been made. No one is friends. No one kind of finds hope in the light. This is dark, dreary, a seventh ring of hell, if you will. Elevating the film even more are the performances. Now, if we were to turn our attention to the extras and slightly smaller supporting roles, I don't mean the following to sound cruel in any way, but if you'd have told me that they had shot on an active prison wing with real prisoners, I'd probably believe you. But leading the film as Taylor is David Jonsson, an actor who I think is one of the top young talents working today, and thankfully his performance in Wasteman only cements that further. There is a general sense of exasperation within Jonsson's performance. Yes, he's an addict, but it's the option of freedom being dangled in front of him, only for the cellmate from hell to barge into his life, that threatens to squash any sense of hope that Taylor could have ever had. Jonsson depicts this weariness and overall sense of complete defeat so well through his body language and small but general expressions, often without even needing to say a single word. So whilst Jonsson is very reserved and understated, you then turn your attention to Tom Blyth as D, who comes into this movie like a cocaine-fueled bull in a china shop. Now, I gotta be honest, I didn't really think he was all that good as a young Coriolanus Snow in the Hunger Games prequel, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, but I was hoping that this would be a vehicle for him to really showcase what his talents are. My word, Blythe is a terrifying presence in this film. Deranged, his eyes just piercing anything that he looks at, and a completely unpredictable personality. There is no way at any point in this film that you or any of the characters know where his head is at, and that makes him a danger at all times. By the time we reached the final act, my anxiety was just piercing through the roof. It had gone. And we come to like a closing sequence that, quite honestly, I think I had to turn away from the screen at one point, not because there was anything quite graphic depicted, but because it was so uncomfortable and so nerve-shreddingly tense that I was beginning to feel physically sick. As I mentioned at the start of this review, Wasteman is not an easy watch. For those who, don't fancy a 90-minute long panic attack, I'd advise you to see something else. But for those who do brave it, you are going to be rewarded with a fantastically made and acted film that shares a raw and honest depiction of the failing prison system. Jonsson and Blyth have proven to be a shining example of young British talent, and Cal McMau has come soaring out of the gates as a filmmaker to watch. So I'm going to give Wasteman a 9 out of 10. Anyway, guys, those were my thoughts on Wasteman. Let me know, have you had a chance to see the film yet? What did you think? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. And my question to you, I would like to know, what is a film that you consider to be an excellent film, one of the very best? However, you have absolutely no intention of ever watching it again for whatever reason. But there's all the time we have for today, so thank you very much for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Hello, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have, make sure to click that like button, and if you aren't already, click that subscribe button too.